What's happening, guys? Aussie Beach Bum here, and
LazerFalcon.
this is our first podcast episode of the Rant, where we talk about all things tech. And today we're going to kick it off with a bit of talk about the iPhone 5 and iOS 6 that come out about a week or two ago, and just our thoughts. Take it away, LazerFalcon.
Yeah, so the iPhone 5, I actually work in a store, which I'm not going to name, that sells the iPhone 5. So we had a launch last week, and it was pretty popular, sold out obviously straight away. Had a few issues with iOS 6, which I believe you've heard a few.
Yeah, actually my brother upgraded his iPhone 4S to iOS 6. He finds with it, when he's sending messages, sometimes they don't come through, especially messages he receives. He won't get the beep. He actually has to go into messages and sees a new one. For some reason it's not working.
Are you sure this isn't just girls that aren't messaging him back and the messages aren't going through at all?
Don't know. With my brother, who knows? It could be. But yeah, he says that's it. He finds it freezes a little bit and stuff like that. I haven't had any problems upgrading with my my iPhone 4. I found it fine, but apparently there is a couple of issues with the 4S. With my iPhone 4, the only thing I don't like is the new dialer. The new dialer screen looks crap, and just your background when you go into an app, where it says your network name and the time, it's all blue. They should have stuck with the black. What do you reckon?
So, well, the difference with the dialer is it was dark and now it's light, pretty much. That's the difference.
Yeah, it looks cheap now. I preferred the darker look. I thought it was a bit more.
Surely that's something they could have that you can alter, like in settings, and have your own dialer choice. They're not doing that yet.
Not yet, but apparently Android do. See, a lot of people were kind of hoping we get a lot more customization, like with Android. So this brings up the issue of jailbreaking, which is something I'm considering. How about you?
I never really got into jailbreaking just because, I don't know, I think it's illegal. I'm kidding. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I basically, if I see someone using a jailbroken phone, that's enough for me just to be run through it and see the advantages. I haven't really found it necessary for myself to do so far, but if they keep doing lack of features and there's more features in a jailbroken phone, then who knows, that might be the way to go.
I think so. I had a look at one jailbroken phone. It looked pretty good. There's a lot more customization options with the jailbroken phone opposed to your standard iOS programs, and I don't understand why Apple have not gone that far yet. There are court cases and patents and stuff like that Apple, Samsung, Google, and all the rest are suing each other over, but I just don't understand why the customization hasn't come through yet. It's something that needs to happen. Another issue I found people have been talking about with the iPhone 5 is coming out of the box, the phone's damaged, it's chipped, it's scratched, and that's pretty dodgy. Have you known of any of that yet?
Not in the store that I'm working from. I have heard of scratched ones coming out of people that work at Taronga Zoo, but I think that was because they were shipped with a crate full of pumas as well, and some wildlife got in there. But other than that, none.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah. So with iOS 6, what's the story with this maps? I'm hearing a lot of complaints with the maps have changed. And
well, apparently Apple still had 12 months to go on their contract with Google Maps and stuff like that. Instead, they've gone for their own version of the maps, which hasn't quite been perfected. I've seen on some websites photos of the maps where you get your almost like a street view, where you look down in the 3D view of the actual city and stuff, and parts of highway are actually sunken or melted, and it's a bit dodgy. It's not something I'd expect from Apple. I expect a lot more, considering they are Apple and they're trying to bring out the best products and best operating systems and all that. So it's a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, that's what I found with the maps as well. Is it was sort of promised and promoted as having that 3D street view map, so you could get right in there, and that seems to be removed to the point where you can't even go down to street map view now. And I'm finding a lot of the girls that I've followed to where they live. I'm no longer. I've lost track of them. So if you're listening, if you could go to the shops again, so I can start following you from scratch, that would be good. I'm talking specifically of the girl in the red dress that drives a yellow Corvette. That would be good. Yeah.
So anyway, on another note, another thing too was Apple come out and apologized for that, and the head of Apple turned around and said, look, why don't you use some alternatives, like go through Safari and look up Google Maps or Bing Maps or some of their competitors, which is, they would not have had to have done that if they would have stuck with Google Maps and then used the next 12 months to perfect Apple Maps.
But once you start doing that, once you start having to do these additional steps, and you have to go in through Safari, and then you have to go through this, you have to go through that. That's what sets Apple aside, in that you're just hitting the icon for the programs, and you're supposed to be in there and you're away. Once you start having to go through this hierarchical structure of I'm in this program and then I go here and then I go here, 2 steps, 3 steps in this day and age is too much to get where you want to go. I think that then it starts turning into a Windows, Android based style with your sub menus and everything like that. So Apple definitely don't want to steer towards that. They want to keep it simple, one touch. That's what set them apart initially.
I agree, and it'll only be a matter of time before Google bring out their own Google Maps app for the iPhone. It's similar to what they did with the YouTube app. Apple canned the YouTube app, and Google have brought out their own YouTube app for the iPhone. And the thing with that is, I'm finding it, searches are excellent, but the actual quality of video on the iPhone looks crap, yet alone if you use that same app on the iPad, it is quite good. So I think that's something Google need to, I think that it was rushed out a bit. I think they need to go back, fix it, and re-release it as an update with clearer video footage, which is, something I found a little bit annoying. Have you found that?
Well, what I think is, unless you're trapped on a train, or you have no other option, to watch YouTube videos these days on your phone on that small screen is kind of limited. If you see people doing it, it's, you usually start thinking, well, why aren't you doing that on an iPad? And then you've got the problem of, well, you're in public and the screen is just that little bit too big, so you need somewhere in between, which is kind of brings us to the topic of the new iPad, and they're talking about with a new size in between. So I think it's maybe it's leading towards that avenue. What have you heard about the new iPad?
The iPad Mini coming out. It's going to be 7-inch display. A lot of leaks have come out of China, similar to what they did with the iPhone 5. But in saying that, what are Apple going to charge for it? What's the cost going to be? When you look at the new version of the iPod Touch, that starts at $299. It's a $300 thing, yet what are they going to do with an iPad Mini? They can't make it cheaper, so they're obviously going to make it more expensive. Will that help coming up against the Google Nexus 7, which starts at $200 and goes up to about $250? It's a hard decision to say. Is it worth doing it? What do you reckon?
Well, I sell these things, the tablets, iPads, day in, day out. So basically putting an idea of it like that, and the price point, if I was to see it sat alongside all the iPad 2 and the new iPad, I'm guessing, pure guess, that it would sell somewhere above the price point of the 16 gig and in the new iPad, so somewhere between 500 and 600, and that will probably sound steep, but in the tablets and the Androids, people are more interested in ones that have keyboards now as well, and the high price point, they're seeing it as justifiable, and ones that are around 200, 300 are still, they just see them as a slightly more expensive Kindle, and they're way more willing to pay more for it.
Good point. exactly. What would you go for? Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap that up now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. I'll also leave a link to both our Twitter accounts down the bottom. So till next time, you have been watching The Rant, and
look, there's that girl.